à la télévision. Tu les verras peut-être à la télévision un jour.
This man has a gift. Of its kind, one of the finest and one of the rarest. His name is Evgeny Kissin, and his gift is the gift of music. His success with his public is extraordinary, and off stage he is relaxed and informal. But give him a good piano and a large audience, and he will be possessed by his gift, and with a glittering cascade of notes will dazzle and lift the spirits of thousands of people. Not now and again, but again and again, and again and again and again. His music has a quality which neither he nor anyone else can explain. But more than that, It is a quality which touches the imagination and without words seems to speak directly to the senses. Gifts of this kind are inborn, but they flower only with years of the most uncompromising hard work, from both pupil and teacher. And Evgeny Kissin's teacher is Anna Pavlovna Kantor. She has been his mentor since he was 6 years old and remains a guiding friend to this day. They are preparing for a recital at the festival of La Roque d'Anteron in the south of France. And Kissin is an artist who prepares with a diligence and a commitment that are quite remarkable, and for the very best of reasons. In this evening's recital, he will play more than 30,000 musical notes, all in perfect sequence, all in the most delicate balance, and all from memory. That is a feat that is beyond the imagination of most people. And moreover, he will do it with a limpid clarity that is given to very, very few. But even these astonishing things are not what matter most. There is something else, something between the notes, or behind the notes, or contained within the notes, that generates in his audiences an extraordinary enthusiasm, a deep response which is just as indefinable as his gift. In short, he is already, even in his youth, a master musician in the tradition of the great virtuosi of the past, whose names have remained alive long after they themselves are gone. Evgeny Igorovich Kissin was born in Moscow on the 10th of October 1971. His father, Igor Borisovich, an engineer, and his mother, Emma Aronovna, a piano teacher. At the age of 6, his parents took him to the Moscow Gnessin School of Music for gifted children. And that is where he met Anna Pavlovna Kantor. Under her guidance, he made his concert debut at the age of 10 at Ulyanovsk, where Lenin was born, in Mozart's D minor piano concerto. He gave his recital debut at the age of 11 in the concert hall of the House of Composers in Moscow, and he has been playing regularly in public ever since. And so, at the age of 24, he is an international concert pianist at the highest level, and with 14 years of experience already behind him. He still seeks the guidance of Anna Pavlovna Kantor, and she is still willing to give it, an arrangement that might seem surprising, until one knows how well the relationship works, how long it has lasted, and how it all started.
I do remember how we entered the school and how Anna Pavlovna Kantor came in the lobby. She was dressed in green. But what happened afterwards, I don't remember. But Anna Pavlovna told me a lot about that later on. She said I was doing many interesting things, playing the Nutcracker, the Third Chopin Ballad, improvising. She would ask me to improvise about the dark forest and then about the bright sun. And then she would ask me to repeat what I had just played, and I wouldn't be able to, I wouldn't remember anything. She wouldn't believe this and would ask me to play another waltz or another march, and I would play something completely different. And she invited a couple of other teachers, and I was accepted to the Gnesin school, where I was to study for 12 years. From what my mother and Anna Pavlovna tell me, during my first year of studying, I simply could not practice more than 20 minutes a day. During the rest of the day, I would be sitting and playing for pleasure. In my second year, the amount of working time went up to 1 hour. 3 years later, I think up to 4 hours I could manage.
So there was already a distinction of a sort between playing for pleasure and the obligation
I
to
was
practice.
always lazy. I've had one teacher, the same Anna Pavlovna Kantor, for 20 years already. It so happened that we matched extremely well, unbelievably well, both musically and personally. And in course of the years that I was studying with Anna Pavlovna, she gradually became a member of our family, because she never had a family of her own.
It's unusual for a pupil-teacher relationship to last as long as yours has done. And I take it then the answer is because it has grown to be something more than that. It's become a family relationship.
Yes, yes, it has. When I was about to graduate from the Gnesin school, it was assumed that I would go to the famous Moscow Conservatoire. But the administration of the then Gnesin Institute offered to Anna Pavlovna to continue to teach me at the Gnesin Institute. We both accepted the offer, and I stayed with her.
Why change?
Yeah, why fix what's not broken?
And so the close relationship continues, in a life now of almost constant travelling. It has become a restless life with ever-changing needs, and some of them not a little surprising. A life of perpetual movement in almost every part of the world, but always revolving around the music, as focus, as solace, and as reward. Tell us how all this started. Your relationship with music.
My elder sister, who is 10.5 years older than me, studied piano at the time when I was born. And my parents were absolutely delighted that I was such a quiet child. I would stand all day long in my cot, quietly. All of a sudden, on one fine day, when I was 11 months old, I sang the theme of the Bach's fugue my sister was studying at the time. And only then did my parents realize that I had been listening to my sister's playing all the time. And from that moment on, according to what my parents tell me, I started singing practically everything I heard from my sister, from the radio, from the records. And then, at the age of 2, when I grew up tall enough to reach the keyboard. I started playing, first with one finger, then with all the fingers. Again, everything I heard from wherever.
If I remember correctly, one of the pieces that you began to sing, that you heard your sister play, was a Beethoven piece. Is that right?
Rage Over the Lost Penny. That's right.
How old were you then?
1 year, a year and a half, something like that.
What's the theme of it?
Yeah, but I would sing it. We've got a recording of me singing it. So, I would sing it with the following rhythm. Instead of. Yeah.
So you were improvising already?
Yeah, I mean, I started improvising very early. I believe as early as I started playing.
But was this a pleasure? Was it an attraction? How did it feel inside, this movement towards music all the time?
Yeah, I don't really remember. I believe that it was something completely and totally natural, something I couldn't possibly live without. That was the thing I liked to do most, far more than anything else in the world. Sitting at the piano and playing for my own pleasure all day long. Or listening to music, listening to records, LPs. Even in my early school years, when I would come home from school, I would, without even taking my coat and hat off, I would rush to the piano, sit down, and play for a while. And my mother wouldn't stop me because she realized that that was something I needed.
And something
that was an urge which wasn't to be stopped, wasn't to be disturbed. Instead of. In my very first public performances, I played my own compositions. Yeah. The program would say Kissin 4 pieces performed by the author. And I remember at one of those concerts having played, I went into the audience, and I remember when I was walking between the rows towards my seat, a man I was passing by said to someone, "Here he is, the author," because I was that tall.
Do you remember any of those pieces?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
What's your favorite theme from one of your early pieces?
No, I don't know. I could show you some. I would, and I think that was the very first piece I wrote down. It's called Morning Song. Etc. Or there was a New Year March. It's been a long time since I played it. Then there was Yeah, I remember I finished those performances with the piece that I called Petrushka. I've got to explain. At that time, I wasn't familiar with Stravinsky Petrushka, but Petrushka is a very popular character in Russia. So, we'll go.
How old?
7.
Fine.
Now, I used to compose a lot at that time. I was often ill with pneumonia in those years, and in those times I would simply be lying in bed and composing all day long. When I was already 17, one of the leading music critics in Russia wrote an article about me, and he added the following passage at the end. He said many wonderful things about me in the article, but at the end of it he criticized some things in my playing, and the added passage read as follows. In general, one gets an impression that up till now everything has been easy for Kissin in piano playing. Sometimes even too easy. Both pluses and minuses of his art come from that fact. Now we only hear in his playing what comes from his great natural gift. This is of course wonderful, but in future something definitely has to change. What? When? In which way? Everything will depend on that. As you see, I remembered this word.
Sahnenland in Switzerland, to play Schubert's Trout Quintet with Gidon Kremer in the old church at Sahnen as part of the Gstaad Summer Music Festival. With Clemens and Veronica Hagen playing cello and viola, and Alois Posch playing the double bass. This is to be their first read-through of the music, and Evgeny Kissin's first musical encounter with Veronica Hagen. It is also his first visit to the Gstaad Festival, in Gidon Kremer's first year as artistic director.